that the platform will emerge as a very useful forum for exchange of ideas and experiences, and will be a great help to our country in building systems for preventing disaster and dealing with their fallout. Disaster management is an area of vital national importance to our country. As we all know, India is vulnerable to a large range of natural and man-made disasters. Events like earthquakes, floods, droughts, cyclone, landslide, industrial accidents have been a cause of great misery and suffering in our country. In recent years, climate change has posed fresh new challenges that our disaster management strategies should be able to cope with. These are in the form of increased intensity and frequency of disasters like floods, cyclones, and droughts. It is estimated that the chances of future extreme events would be much higher than what they are today because of the changes that continue to occur in our climate patterns. We must therefore ensure that disaster preparedness and development of adequate disaster response mechanisms receive priority attention. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy that our country has made good progress in these areas in the last few years. We have endeavored towards a platform, a paradigm shift in disaster management from the relief-centric classical approach of the past to a more holistic approach. We have taken measures to deal with disaster situation in a more institutionalized manner right from the local level up to the central level. The Disaster Management Act was legislated in 2005. Subsequently, the National Disaster Management Authority at the national level and state disaster management authorities and district management authorities in a majority of states and union territories have been set up, facilitating a more professional and effective approach towards the whole range of activities that are a part of disaster management. This has been accompanied by the establishment of the National Institute of Disaster Management and the National Disaster Response Force at the national level and state disaster forces in some states and union territories. The funding mechanisms for disaster management have also been institutionalized in the form of National Disaster Response Fund, State Disaster Response Funds, and capacity building grants. The theme of today's conference is about making risk reduction an intrinsic part of our development processes by including prevention and mitigation strategies in them. This is indeed a very prudent course of action and would avoid possible losses that could be devastating in nature and could cause significant setbacks to the development of a state or a region. This is also an internationally accepted norm, since it is much more cost effective than simply responding to disasters after they have occurred. Ladies and gentlemen, the United Nations Millennium Development Goals reflect a global commitment towards reducing risk for overall sustainable development. The need to consider disaster risk as a development issue was emphasized for the first time in our 10th five-year plan, which covered the period 2002 to 2007. Both the 10th and the 11th plans emphasized that our development processes could not be really sustainable without risk mitigation efforts being built into them. This need has led to a number of plan schemes in areas such as drought proofing, afforestation and sanitation and provision of drinking water. The 12th plan carries this process further. It specially focuses on the new developments that have taken place in the area of disaster risk reduction, including those relating to setting up of early warning systems and communication. It also mainstreams disaster risk reduction in some of our major development programs. For example, the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme now includes drought mitigation efforts as an eligible activity allowed to be taken up under this scheme. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that the integration of disaster risk reduction strategies into our development initiatives must necessarily involve actively the local communities. We must therefore make full use of our Panchayati Raj institutions to achieve this objective. I would urge you to pay special attention to this very important aspect. Another area that perhaps needs greater attention relates to arrangements for providing funds to people so that they are able to cope with the losses they suffer due to natural disasters. The current system, particularly at the national level, lack institutional incentives and do not promote mechanisms such as risk insurance and contingent credit facilities. The development of such ex-ante arrangements is particularly important because they typically serve as a primary source of immediate funding that would reduce human suffering, economic losses and fiscal pressures in the aftermath of natural disaster. I hope to see some good suggestions in this regard emerging from this important conference. Ladies and gentlemen, managing disasters is necessarily a collaborative and complex exercise involving not only several departments of the government at the center, but also state and local governments, civil society organizations, local communities, and the people at large. I believe that while we have made encouraging progress in recent years in putting in place institutions and mechanisms for disaster prevention and mitigation, we have still a large distance to travel. As you embark on this exercise to find ways and means of strengthening our capacities and capabilities for managing disasters, I wish you all the best in your efforts. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Dr. Manmohan Singh, Honorable Prime Minister of India, for your kind address. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to now invite Shri Mullapally Ramachandran, Honorable Minister of State for Home, to kindly propose a vote of thanks.
Most respected Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, respected Union Home Minister Shri Sushil Kumar Shinde ji, Honorable Vice Chairman NDMA Shri Shashidhar Reddy, Honorable Ministers from the Centre and the States and Union Territories, representatives from the various scientific and academic institutions, international organizations, NGOs, corporate sector, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. It's a matter of great privilege for me to propose a vote of thanks on the occasion of the first session of the National Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction. We are extremely grateful to the Honorable Prime Minister who accepted our invitation to deliver the inaugural address. Sir, we hold your advice in high esteem on various aspects of disaster management. Your gracious presence and thoughtful remarks indicate the government's deep commitment to strengthen disaster management as an important component of public policy. Today's conference on mainstreaming disaster risk reduction in development from risk to resilience is the first session of National Platform. The first day is devoted to plenary sessions wherein eminent speakers would share their views on the theme of mainstreaming disaster risk reduction in development, achievements and way ahead. The second day has been divided into 6 thematic issues: harnessing technologies for DRR, making our cities safe, risk financing mechanisms, long-term recovery and rehabilitation, public policy and governance, and multi-stakeholder consultation. Each of these issues is very important for building resilience amongst communities. I extend a heartfelt thanks to the Honorable Home Minister who has been guiding and advising us on how to grapple with the different disasters the country faces from time to time. I assure you, sir, that your guidance will help us to join hands to meet the emerging challenges in the present disaster management scenario and will contribute towards making more dynamic, responsive and sensitive institutional sector for disaster risk reduction in India. I wish to thank Honorable Vice Chairman NDMA for his presence and words of encouragement. His unstinted support has given a new impetus to this area of work. I convey my warm thanks to all the Honorable Ministers, senior officers and participants who have come from various ministries, states and union territories. I also thank officials from the ministry who have organized this platform. I once again thank all the dignitaries and the participants. I urge all of you to fully utilize this forum to share your knowledge. Your experience will facilitate laying down priorities and directions for the future in the field of disaster risk reduction. The platform will definitely prove to be crucial for further evolution of our policies in issues on mainstreaming disaster risk reduction in development planning. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Honorable Minister Shri Mullapally Ramachandran, for your vote of thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, with this we conclude our inaugural session. We thank Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh and esteemed dignitaries on the dais for gracing this occasion with a kind presence. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to inform you that after Honorable Prime Minister leaves the premises, you're requested to visit the exhibition that has been jointly organized by FICCI and NDMA.